Hi everyone, this video is for all those network engineers who are actually feeling threatened by either AI or cloud. First things first, you don't need to worry at all. This video is going to tell you about all the certifications and knowledge you need to have so that you can future-proof your career. I know when we talk about a career in network engineering, most of you think that this career might go obsolete in the upcoming 5 to 10 years. However, let me be honest with you, that's not going to be happening. What you really need to do is upskill yourself. So there are some certain technologies and tools and frameworks you need to familiarize yourself with so that you can actually become an in-demand network engineering professional in the industry. So basically, the foundation stays the same, which is the network engineer. However, we are going to talk about various deviated paths that you can go up to and upskill so that you become more desirable and recruitable to the industry. So let's begin with the video. So first of all, this is the complete guide to future-proof your network engineering career. So here we are going to navigate through the evolving landscape of network engineering, how it all started with, simply working with routers and switches, but today it has completely transformed into running even Python scripts and then working with software-defined networks and at the same time, even working in the DevOps life cycle. So that's actually the beauty of this role, that it has completely evolved. However, if you are into the field of network engineering even from the past 10 years, it's completely okay to upskill right now because we have some of the most prominent certifications. So there are many certifications in the industry that people are really leveraging to build a solid career in network engineering, be it a cloud network engineer, a cloud automation engineer, or many more. So first of all, let's talk about the shifting sands, like why the traditional networking is just not working out currently. Why it isn't just enough. So the networking world, it is actually evolving at a very rapid pace currently. Be it the arrival of AI or automation, you really need to upskill. So traditional approaches that served us well for decades are no longer sufficient in today's dynamic environment. Why is that? First of all, is the digital transformation acceleration. So the relentless pace of digital transformation and cloud adoption. Do you know that almost 92% of enterprises, they have shifted their infrastructure on cloud, or either they are working on the hybrid cloud model or multi-cloud model. So some of their infrastructure is on the cloud while the other is on-premise itself. So it's really important that you know how to secure the infrastructure, not just on physical networks, however also on cloud networks. So further on in this video, we're going to talk about certain certifications that can help you future-proof your career. Secondly, of course, the most obvious one is AI and automation revolution. So of course, AI has changed everything. For example, there were many repetitive tasks that network engineers used to do. For example, you have to configure a switch every day. So rather than you doing the job every day, this tedious job can actually be replaced by AI that can, write commands and then do it automatically. So we can set up an automation. So that is where, the role of network engineers, it gets diminished. And then the third one is software defined everything. So of course, now we have moved on to this fabric of SD-WAN. So SD-WAN is something that you really need to master if you are a network engineer. Being a plain network engineer is just not useful currently. You either need to be, very familiar with the software defined network so that you can run automation scripts. So specifically at Network Kings, we make sure that when we are teaching you SD-WAN, we also incorporate Python so that you can run Python scripts and automate networks. So these are the three reasons why networking isn't just enough. So now that we have talked about the reasons why you really need to upskill, let's talk about what are the different skills that you need to inculcate if you actually want to stay up to date as a network engineer. So first of all, we have some of the essential software skills. So of course, as I mentioned previously, you really need to master the art of programming and scripting. And when I talk about programming, no, I'm not talking about some heavy Java code or React code that you need to incorporate and be a hardcore coder. That's not the case. You can start with Python. It has a very simple syntax and it's beginner friendly. So Python is really useful in network automation. So for network automation, there are various Python libraries such as we have NetMiko, NAPALM, and then we have Ansible as well for automation. So, these are some of the very useful libraries in Python that you can actually leverage to become a network automation engineer. Network automation engineers are actually in very high demand. You can also then currently, learn SD-WAN as well so that you can work on software-defined networks. Next up, you must master API integration and DevOps. This is, however, a little advanced level. If you really want to become a DevOps engineer, I would recommend that if you have Linux knowledge as well and you are a network engineer, only then would I recommend that you can take up this path of becoming a DevOps engineer. So in API mastery, you must have a good understanding of REST APIs and you must know how to integrate network services, right, on the basis of modern infrastructure. And then we have DevOps principles. Of course, you learn about the software-defined lifecycle and how you can utilize CI/CD pipelines, and then ISE, that is infrastructure as code, where you talk about Terraform and how DevOps methodologies apply to networking environments. So first things first that you really need to master if you want to, survive in this harsh world of network engineer aligned with cloud, you can actually start mastering cloud and security so that you can become a network security engineer, network cloud security engineer. This is actually a very high paying job and you can even earn up to 40 LPA and even more than that. So here, first of all, to begin with, let me start right from the basics. So if you're starting with a network engineer background, let's say that you have CCNA or you have CompTIA Network Plus knowledge or you have CCNP, right? Next up, I suggest you that you go for network automation. So at this point, we are going to go for SD-WAN and Python. So after that, you are familiar with SD-WAN and Python. Then you can further start learning about cloud. Because you really want to start from fundamentals, I would recommend that you go for AWS networking because AWS is one of the most popular cloud service providers in the industry. So one of the best certifications to start with is actually the AWS Certified Solutions Architect. So this is actually an associate level certification. Then we actually have three popular cloud service providers, AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud Platform. I would suggest you go with either AWS or Azure currently. Even GCP is great, but GCP is more of a niche certification. So it's better you go for either AWS or Azure. In Azure, you can go with AZ-104, which is actually a foundational level certification in cloud. You can go for AZ-104, which is actually a beginner or a foundational level certification in cloud. So next, let's talk about security. So when we talk about security, you really need to familiarize yourself with some of the most important security frameworks in the industry. One of them is actually Zero Trust. We also have IAM, which is Identity and Access Management. But here, talking about Zero Trust, it works on the policy of that you have to verify everyone and trust no one. So it would verify each and every login attempt and user, and it won't trust. So this is one of the most important security frameworks that you need to master. So why you really need it? Because Zero Trust security models and advanced network segmentation techniques, they are really important to master. So security is no no longer a separate concern, right? You really need to be a network security engineer at the same time, and you must know how to protect and defend against attacks in case of any sort of disaster. Next, we have edge computing challenges. So of course, edge networking is something that's really getting popular these days. So here what happens is that the computation physically is brought closer to the user in a way. So here, of course, one of the challenges that is solved is the latency reduction, of course, that is happening, and latency optimization, to be more precise, and then distributed architecture design. Now let's talk about the certifications that you can actually go for if you want to stay relevant in the industry. So first of all, we have the Cisco certifications pathway. So as I mentioned, you start with CCNA, that you go ahead with CCNP Enterprise, where you master CCNP in core and in RC. Then we have CCNP Security. So here you are going to learn about security fundamentals. Then you can actually take more industry experience, and you can go ahead after this point with Azure or AWS foundational certifications. That's completely fine. However, if you really want to become, a network security engineer or a senior network security engineer, it is really important that you go with CCI. So here the path becomes for a network security engineer. These two certifications, talking about vendor neutral, is when you're not actually learning how to do things on just a single vendor. However, if you do these CompTIA certifications, you can either work with Cisco or you can work with Juniper. It doesn't matter, because the concepts stay the same. It's just the vendor that's actually differentiating. So here, CompTIA Network Plus is a foundational level certification, and then we also have CompTIA Security Plus that you can go for. So this is the path that you can choose when you're not specifically want to work in a particular vendor. Then we have cloud network specializations. So this is the pathway you can choose when you want to become a cloud network engineer. Honestly, current landscape is actually perfect to go for cloud network engineering roles. So as I mentioned, one, you have mastered CCNP Enterprise or CCNP Security. You can then further go ahead with AWS certification. So one of the certifications provided by AWS itself that's more network security aligned is the AWS Certified Advanced Networking. Then we also have Azure's, similar corresponding certification in networking, which is actually the AZ700 that talks about, advanced networking. We also have AZ500 that talks about the security perspective there. And then we also have the Google Cloud Professional Cloud Network Engineer certification. So you can either choose one of them. So you can choose either one of them out of these three to actually specialize in cloud network. Then if you just want to become a specific security engineer or chief security engineer, to be more precise, you want to go to the leadership level or the managerial level, you can actually go for ISC squares, CISSP, and then we also have CCSP certification. And you can either also go for GIAC certifications, which is the security essentials. So that's it about the certifications path. I've kept it quite crisp so that it's easier to follow. So how you can really build a future-proof career? So first things first, of course, you have to indulge yourself into continuous learning. So it's, you have to make sure that you're learning new technologies every day and you're making sure you're staying up to date. Then secondly, strategic networking. So here you really need to make sure that you are networking with your peers and mentors and you're actually doing internal switch. So for example, if you're currently working as a network engineer and you want to work as a network security engineer, you can look for opportunities internally in your current company and go for a certification such as CCNP security, and then you can explore the role in the company itself. Then we have target future forward roles. So of course, as I mentioned, every enterprise is switching to cloud. So you need to make sure that you at least have foundational level knowledge, and then you can experiment and replicate all the things that you perform on the networks itself. You can replicate and see how these things actually work on the cloud. Then building a portfolio is really important. You can either build a GitHub account and then post all your projects onto it, or you can also build a Medium blog page of yourself, or on LinkedIn articles, to make sure that you are staying updated with the trends. In this case, a lot of times it has happened that recruiters have actually identified these candidates and they always stay on top. So it's really important to showcase your portfolio or your skills to the world. Then it's really important to engage with various webinars that are happening. Cisco itself conduct a lot of webinars talking about how the world is evolving. Then we have Google also talk about it. There's many other vendors that are actively taking webinars. Even we take webinars talking about how the industry is changing, and we make sure that we are actually bringing all the new certification knowledge just for you. So if you really want to master all these technologies and you think that you have the time to learn at your own pace, even if you're a working professional, we do have something for you. So we have the All Access Pass. It has over 50 plus courses. So whether you want to learn DevOps, you want to learn AWS, Azure, SD-WAN, Python, scripting, Linux, anything. There are a lot of courses present here, even if you can see. There's data center, you also have CompTIA, then we have firewalls, there's everything. And if you really want to check the content, every video is latest, and in every video we're making sure that we're updating the content regularly. So all this content is delivered by engineers itself. So all the video recordings are the live classes that have been taken by engineers. So if you want to take a free trial, even you can just start a free trial here, or you can also buy the bundle. We actually have a 28% off going on currently, and you can even use the coupon code GET20 to get extra 20% off. So this is actually a limited time offer, and make sure that you check the content out. And you can also let us know in the comments if you liked the trial, and if you really want to experience learning from engineers and you want to learn at your own pace and upskill yourself, be it you are a network engineer, a cloud engineer, DevOps engineer, any of the profiles, this All Access Pass has been carefully created so that you can upskill and stay relevant in the industry. If you want to directly purchase this complete All Access Pass bundle, we have the link in the description to check out the content. We also have the link in the description to reach out to the career counselors who can actually help you make a purchase and help you experience the content that's present inside. So make sure that you stay in touch with Networking's channel, and make sure that you keep watching and keep upskilling. Thank you.